So once we arrived to the release facility, there were three main priorities to focus on. Firstly, just checking the orphans, making sure that they were actually in good health and assessing that they would be ready to travel the next day, because that's obviously really important. If they're too weak or traumatized, then traveling on the following day might have been too much for them, but they were pretty strong and healthy and active. Secondly, really important to establish the backstory and to find out why they were separated from their families, as much as possible at how that happened and all the efforts that were made to try and reunite them with their herd. The third most important thing was really then getting everybody in the team together and making sure that the plans for moving them from the Kafue National Park to Lusaka were very solid and that everybody knew what their roles were, who was doing what, at what times, and that everything was in place so that it went as smoothly as possible.
We'll arrive and we'll load them on so that they're on their sides without the crate, and we'll fly them within 1 hour. We'll be at the nursery.
The first couple of nights after rescue were the most critical, and there was part of me that was worried that one of them might collapse with exhaustion or something would happen in the night time that would then render it impossible to move them. But I was very, very relieved that we had a full good night's rest, both as humans and elephants, which helped prepare them for the journey the next day. In the morning, the elephants were strong, they were active.
No babies, they are also doing fine. They have their feeds in time, they responded well, without any problem. The temperature, it was good. Yeah, it was good.
We had a really good staff meeting, a team briefing, so that everybody was very, very clear on all the steps that would be happening throughout the day.
Yeah, they think they're going to come, but if they are weaker, you can just put them down.
Despite the fact that this was a first for us, to move 2 elephants in one go seemed like a pretty big undertaking, but actually there was a nice sense of calm, and we had the full morning to really make sure all the pieces were in place, and so nothing felt rushed. It was a really nice, smooth operation. And so through that morning we organised all of the kit that was required. We needed ropes that would be used to restrain the elephants. So the elephants would be sedated for flying and movement, which would really take the edge off of their nervousness or stress around that process. But the sedation wouldn't put them unconscious. So it was really important to restrain them as well. And so we needed soft ropes, mattresses, blankets, anything that would make them as comfortable as possible throughout that move. And then, working with the National Park vet Shezongo to make sure that all the drugs were in place, the sedation, the quantities that were required were pre-calculated, and everything was kind of organised and ready to go. And then of course we had backup vet kit and supplies just in case one of the elephants went into any complications, and we would have the equipment needed to treat them on the airplane if need be. Of course, the big elephants at the release facility also come into the plan and factored in, because they are present at the release facility during the lunchtime period from 12 until 2 o'clock. And so we had to make sure that we secured them all into the paddock away from the stables so that we could drive the vehicles in and load the orphans easily. One of the main things that was important is that we had communication with Lusaka. We needed to know the time that the plane was leaving Lusaka and its estimated time of arrival, so that we didn't bring the elephants too early to the airstrip.
Because we can't drug the elephants and then the plane's not in the air.
Yeah.
We need to know that it's flying and then we drug them.
Obviously, our main concern is that the elephants were given every opportunity to be moved through the system as quickly as possible. So everything else had to be in place and ready in advance of the elephants.
The aim was just to sedate them, give them a standing sedation so that they're not fully asleep, but they're docile. And so we gave them the first dose just before we loaded them into the vehicles.
So once we knew that the plane was nearly about to land in Kafue, then we left the release facility with the elephants on the vehicle so that we could load them as quickly as possible upon arrival.
As soon as we can, get this car out of the switch. He's not struggling?
As we're about to load them into the aircraft, the female elephant was agitated because she's very active. We did top up her sedation and she was calm for the entire trip.
In order to transport the elephants safely in the plane, we needed to make sure we had at least one elephant keeper per elephant. The elephant keepers haven't flown in planes before.
Once the plane reached about halfway, he also started becoming very active, lifting his herd, so we had to top up his sedation as well.
Quite amazing to see how well the two elephant keepers who came with us adapted. They haven't flown in planes before, and their senior line managers actually selected them to give them this opportunity to allow them to be in a plane and also be part of a rescue. And they did such a fantastic job and really did focus really well on the elephants despite this kind of very new experience for them both. Touching down in Lalai was a really great feeling. It was actually a very smooth landing, thankfully, and the elephants were very calm throughout it. We then offloaded them onto two vehicles and drove them straight round to the stables, where we kind of drove the vehicles kind of right up to the stable doors and then lifted the elephants off again on their mattresses, and then got them into the stables before kind of removing the restraints and then letting them get onto their feet. And I have to say that was like the moment where we all could actually take a deep breath.
They are all offloaded and they have settled in their new home. They are standing, they have drank, they are okay, and we are happy. I am happy.
It was, an amazing feeling to see them almost instantly jump up onto their feet with the enthusiasm and energy. All the people involved were just doing everything as perfectly as they could have done. There's nothing really that could have gone any better. Everyone came together and there was a really nice collaborative spirit from beginning to end to get these elephants into a safe space.